back to Grumble and Growl. I'm Gail Tosh, your host, as we examine issues from the local to the global perspective so that you can make better choices. Today, we are here with Cowboy Steve Holden. Now, you might remember him from a few months ago. He had a few choice words to say about Pete Hegseth getting into the Pentagon. What is his position?
He's the Secretary of Defense.
Excuse me. Okay, sorry. That is really unfortunate.
Scary.
Yeah. But today you have some interesting news for us today. What are you talking about today?
I want to confirm to the people here in the district that I have announced that I am running to be the new congressman in New York's 24th Congressional District.
Where is the New York 24th?
The 24th is all a part of 14 counties, Gail.
14?
Goes all the way from Alex Bay in the north, Alexandria Bay.
That's pretty north.
And all the way to Lockport and Newfane in Niagara County.
Wow.
Gets every county in the Lake Ontario area, except for in eastern Cayuga and in Onondaga counties. So it doesn't have Skinny Atlas or any of that, but it has everything else all the way down to the northern parts of Steuben County, parts of Schuyler County, all the way out to Wyoming County, which is where Letchworth State Park is. If anybody's ever been there, beautiful, beautiful area, waterfalls out there. I've done political events and did public speaking out there. It's a beautiful area. We already kind of have this.
So what's the message? Why are you running? What's so important to you that you feel that you need to get up and get out there and
number one, we're finishing what we started for a couple of years ago. When I was the Democratic nominee out there before. And we're just taking a look what's going on here in the country. We have a situation where there are policies going on enacted either through executive orders, through legislation, or through just flat out presidential action that endanger all of us.
Yeah.
And so, as someone who served his country for over 20 years, 4 combat deployments to Iraq, to Afghanistan, I was there on the initial invasion of Iraq in 2003. And we have things going on there that...
that part of the world, right?
Exactly.
What's in that part of the world? There's another country you haven't mentioned over there yet.
Iran.
Oh, yeah, Iran.
So I have been on 3 different sides of Iran. I've been Herat, Afghanistan, Salmaniyah, Iraq, and Doha, Qatar. And people remember the part there in Doha. One, because that's the country that gave Trump his airplane. But it's also where Al Udeid Air Base that was bombed by the Iranians, or attempted bombing by the Iranians. And then you had in Iraq, Taji Airfield, which was bombed. Very well familiar with that. When we eventually went in, I did a lot of funding to stand that installation up too.
So you're familiar with that part of the world?
It's over 20 years experience in there.
Wow.
In the Middle East, the Gulf, Central Asia, and South Asia.
So these are all hotspots right now.
Exactly. And when you fan the flames in that part of the world, they spread quickly. Because alliances aren't what you think they are. So we need people in Congress, because people like Pete Hegseth has no idea what he's doing.
True.
We need people who are going to be on the Armed Services Committee in Congress to go, look, we need to think of this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never vote for an authorization for the use of military force for Iran. It won't happen, and nor will I fund supplemental appropriations for the funding of operations there. That's where Congress has to take back its duty of oversight and legislating, not just having not just having this as theater, for an audience of one.
Yeah, this audience of one. So what happens if Congress doesn't step up to the plate? What do you think is going to happen over there in that part of the world?
They'll give him... because they will give him an authorization for the use of military force, which could potentially put boots on the ground. And people like us know what it's like to have been lied to and brought into a war. Plus, we don't have enough troops in our country to be able to secure Iran. Iraq and Afghanistan together have 50 million people. Iran has almost 90 million people.
Wow.
And it's a huge country.
Yeah.
It's monstrosity. We wouldn't have enough to know what to do with it to begin with. And do you think we're having any allies go with us? You think the UK or the Canadians or the Australians? No, they just rejected their right-wing parties in elections because of Brexit or because of Trump, and lost bigly in all of them. So they just had a rejection of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not coming. The French aren't coming. The Germans aren't coming. The Poles aren't coming, because most of them are worried about Putin, in Europe.
Marching right across them.
Marching right across, marching right across, Lithuania and Poland and coming right over. They're not going to be there. So that would just be us. The other reasons are because this is a very rural district. You have to have someone who is rural to truly understand it. What's the role of the local post office in a community?
That's very important.
My wife's grandfather's retired postman, and he raised 9 kids on a postman's salary, coming back from World War II. You don't have that. You won't have the postal service out there. People get supplies, medicines.
Official business.
Official business. You have the defunding of rural airports. You have the defunding. You don't have rural broadband. Good luck getting coverage out in a lot of these areas and be able to run a business. Something I talked about a few years ago when I was running was things like rural broadband and infrastructure.
It was a big deal when I was running in Oswego.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And again, for people to know, Oswego County is a part of the district. We have all of Oswego. And I said the northern part of Cayuga, and then on out to Wayne and points westward. But those are the same things. So you know that issue, Gail. You've dealt with it yourself for running for office. And I'm trying to get that out there. And we don't have a whole lot of people who truly understand this. I was in the FFA in high school, the Future Farmers of America. That's the way I look at now. So, which is funny because here I am as a progressive Democrat, but I look and talk like I'm an extra off of Yellowstone, or I look at some John Wayne movie or something like that. No, I care about rural America, and unfortunately, we have one party that ignored it, another party that lies about it, and they all get hurt because of it. They're people, these are also some of the poorest counties, some of the oldest counties in the state. Outside of Jefferson County, because of Fort Drum, the rest of the district is older. It's 50 and older. And I know for those of us who are, that's who are on the backside of 50. But that's the case. You take cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security. My sister-in-law lives right on the Onondaga Oswego border in Brewerton, in the Brewerton Central Square area. She had a prominent grooming business up in Theresa, up in Jefferson County. She has MS. She's on Social Security. She's concerned. And she doesn't, if that big, beautiful bill goes through, that big, ugly bill, if it does that, what's going to happen to those people? My father died of stage 4 cancer back in Oklahoma. I have 2 sisters who have cancer. Because where I grew up is on a cancer cluster because of mining and lead, zinc, and cadmium mining from World War II. Got into the groundwater. Now it's a cancer cluster. He was more concerned about his co-pays and premiums than he was about getting the proper care he did. And, you had a big oak of a man of 6'5", 250 pounds. My mom's teeny tiny. She's 4'10" and about 90 pounds. But to see him wither away like that. And surprisingly, back in Oklahoma, the people of the state voted to expand health care coverage. The right-wing governor said no.
It seems like one party cares about people and one party doesn't care
And
about
here's the
people.
point. That's a ruby red state where all counties for the past 20 years have all voted red, but they voted to expand health care coverage.
Yeah.
It makes you think for a minute. There's a reason why this policy is anywhere from between 19 to 25% underwater. There are a lot of Republicans that don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
They have people like my family. And toward the end with my dad, he'd tell me, son, I know why you fight for this. And he goes, never give up because you're fighting for people like me.
Oh, yeah, that's important. That's a really
and this
important.
is an older district.
Yeah.
And it also has the second most amount of veterans in the state. And we know what the cuts going on to the VA. So for those of you who don't know, I'm also a Maxwell grad up at Syracuse. And I did studies over the Veterans Health Administration. And there's something that's common here is that Republicans will underfund government programs to make them fail so they can privatize them and charge you more money. That's what happens here. The Veterans Choice Act.
I agree.
The Veterans Choice Act is to privatize the VA. There's a call center in Canandaigua, a Veterans Behavioral Health call center. Claudia Taylor wants to close it.
Because we care about our veterans here in the United States. We care about the services they get when they go over there and fight for our freedom.
And I'm going to say something pretty salty. Her son's a Marine. This is why we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have experience in Congress again, because we have to have people who understand how the federal government works, wants it to work, make sure that the government works for you and for everyone else out there.
Mm-hmm. And the government is not a business. Okay, it's not supposed to be a business.
The government does not deal off profit centers. It deals off cost centers. The government cannot legally make money like that. They cannot.
So it seems to me like you have a lot of experience with the military, a lot of foreign experience, and experience in rural districts. Tell me a little bit about your campaign and what's coming up and how people can get behind you.
So we're going to be on all social platforms at Holden for Congress. Right now we're at Holden for Change. We'll change into Holden for Congress here in the next couple of days. We are going to be out in Canandaigua at a parade coming up here on the 4th of July, meeting out there with supporters beforehand. I'm also going to be on with Evan Dawson, who's over in Rochester, who some of his coverage area does cover here on the eastern part of the district, that they do go out to Buffalo. We're going to be on with him talking much the same things.
Awesome.
Because, even though this is the first one to kick it off there, it's just kind of rolling here for the first one.
So there's going to be lots of events coming up over the next month or two. You should go to Holden for Congress to find out where and when. Okay, so these people have heard your story. They've heard your backstory, and they hear that you're passionate about them and helping them. What do you want them to do?
So a couple things. So number one, you'll be able to go to, look me up on ActBlue if you want to donate.
Absolutely.
Claudia Tenney had a $2 million fundraising quarter. She plans to go out and not just defend this seat. She wants to go out and help other MAGA Republicans across the country defeat Democrats.
So she wants to help other people get elected so they can not back our veterans, so that they don't have the information they need to make good foreign policy decisions. And like, she doesn't want to bring any good things to the district, like the internet we were talking about. So
because how are you going to operate?
What a great American she is.
So again, you'll go there. I know there are, again, people out there who supported this last time. We have people across the country who are going to be coming in this time. Because I'm in the medium time between my last run, I've also been working on campaigns across the country. I went and helped Adam Frisch out in Colorado, who the man who ran Lauren Boebert out of her own district, which was funny, and came very close to winning in a district that is very similar to this. The Democrat to Republican ratio is very similar. It can be done, especially now because the base is energized.
Yes, more than just the base. People who have never been energized before are coming out to their first demonstration, and I think it's fantastic.
And for those of us who are on the progressive side of the party, we saw it happen in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
Very similar. We saw what happened in Syracuse with Sharon Owens. We've seen what happened in other areas where our party's restless right now.
Oh, yeah.
They want someone who's going to go out
and
fight for them, and who has fought for them in the past. When I wore, it said U.S. Army, it didn't have Democrat or Republican after it. It had U.S. Army on it.
This man speaks the truth over here. The truth is what you're hearing.
It's I don't want to see troops get deployed out of Fort Drum to go to Iran. We're a military family. My wife was in the Army. My stepson is in the Air Force. My father-in-law was a Vietnam vet. His stepmom actually was a senior enlisted leader at Hancock Field. We're a military family.
Yeah. We
know about sacrifice and service to our country, and for long periods of time. And another thing I want to talk about is, there are a lot of people who worked for the government and done things throughout their entire career, have watched what the Trump administration just take that and throw it away.
Crumple it up and just toss it.
So one of the things I worked on is the Army's base renaming program, where we changed the name from Confederate Installations to include a couple local heroes. One, Mary Walker from Oswego County. She was an abolitionist and the only woman to ever receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. Just right up the road here in Oswego County. Changing Fort A.P. Hill to Fort Walker. She's a legend and the pioneer of the Army Nurse Corps.
Wow,
and the backbones taking care of our troops and taking care of their families. Again, abolitionist, women's early support of the women's rights movement and the voting movement. They decided to change the name back. Also, you had Hank Johnson of the Harlem Hellcats, received the only member of the New York National Guard to ever receive the Congressional Medal of Honor, awarded by President Obama.
Wow.
Changing the name back.
That just doesn't seem right. I mean, we beat the Confederates. The Union beat the Confederates, and why do we have these bases named? Like, I couldn't imagine being in the military and being a person of color even. And
I have a good friend of mine who, when he was promoted to full colonel, and the ceremony was there at the Military Museum of the United States at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, down near Washington, D.C. And he and his sons were there, and goes, "Do you know what it's like serving on an installation named after someone who thought you were a piece of property?"
That's insane. That's just disgusting and horrible.
And there were only 3 members of the New York delegation, Republican or Democrat, that voted for it.
Who was it?
That voted not to name after these great New Yorkers and these great Americans. One's Claudia Tenney.
Boo.
The other one's running for governor, Elise Stefanik.
Boo!
And the other one is now headed to federal prison. Everybody's favorite, George Santos. So, that's the people who voted against it.
Oh, that's good company.
Every Democrat and most of the Republicans actually voted for it because they understand we're not naming this after traitors to our country. I've also been working on the federal pay system to ensure that things like what happened with Doge don't happen again. I have over 20 years experience or now close to 25 years experience with the federal budget. And that's how I ended up here in New York. I'm a Syracuse grad. I'm a graduate of the Maxwell and Whitman schools there. I always had a company started where we helped veterans start their own businesses, so they can realize their dreams. And a lot of these things, it's seeing their life's work get thrown down the tubes. People can go here and look me up from a few years ago at the Post-Standard, because there was a story about my Afghan interpreter coming over here to the United States. Now, he didn't end up living in New York, so they started a community down in Fort Worth, Texas, and they're scared.
That's great. Oh, I know they're scared. I know Afghans here, and they're scared. And I know a lot of immigrants here, and they are all scared.
Oh yeah, one of my
All
good
scared.
friends who just ran for mayor of Syracuse, Chol Najuk, is a good
Yep.
friend of mine, and a leader in the New American community.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells that story about the challenges that New Americans have, and they're scared right now.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
they got here, they played by the rules. And here's the thing, something else to remember. Everybody here know who Tom Homan is?
Who is he?
The ice guy,
Oh, yeah, from
Jefferson County.
Yep.
So that's another thing, is this race is probably going to be nationalized, not just because of Claudia Tenney, but because of Tom Homan.
All right, so you guys, you need to go to Act Blue. You need to donate Steve Holden for Congress, because we need to change this dynamic that we have going on here in this district in New York State. And it is a national election, because there is a lot of attention coming to this district. Steve, I want to thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks a billion, Gail. And it's always an honor coming on with here. I absolutely will. We'll keep you updated on the way things are going, and hopefully, I'm sitting in Congress here in a couple of years.
Yeah, hopefully.
And we're doing this.
Future Congressman Steve Holden, Cowboy Steve Holden, right here.
Howdy. All right, howdy, adios, and y'all take care out there.
All right, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Grumble and Growl. Bye for now.